Hey, Colin Hiles here, aka the Mindset Guy, with today's training video, which is all about how to overcome adversity. And the idea or the inspiration for this video came from an email from a lady who's going through a really difficult time right now, a really tough time in her life right now, a dark time, as she called it. And she said, do I have any advice or anything that can help? And I promised to put a video together. So here's the video. Now, I've got a lot to cover in the 10 minutes that I like to try and put these videos together in, so I'm going to jump straight in with my favorite equation, one of the best equations that I've come across in my time in this space, and that's E plus R equals O, and it comes from Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. The E stands for the event, the R stands for the response, and the O stands for outcome. Now, what part of that equation do you or I have very little control over, if any? The event, right? So you can't control the next sentence that's coming out of my mouth, which means I could be very rude to you and there's nothing that you could do about that. Now, what part is within our sphere of control? We might not always control it, but what's within the sphere of control? The way we respond. And then the way we respond then influences the outcome, and then the outcome becomes the next event. And so we're always on this. We cannot step off of this. This is going on all of the time. So if we respond in a very unresourceful way, that tends to bring about a negative outcome, which means then, we're back into the event, and you can see how that could cause us to spiral down. Whereas if we respond in a more positive and a more resourceful way, then that means that we're spiraling up and away that we go. Now let's look at the event first, because here we're talking about adversity, and adversity is universal. Everyone is going to experience adversity at some point in their life. And as you watch this video right now, you probably have already experienced some kind of adversity, and it may even be adversity that's got you online searching for a video around how to deal with adversity. You might be experiencing it right now. So these are what I call the three uns, right? The unexpected, the uninvited, and the unthinkable. This is the big stuff of life. What am I talking about? Well, maybe, losing a loved one, or experiencing bankruptcy, or, being squeezed financially, or experiencing, something health-wise that was unexpected, that's not good, or a relationship breakup that was unexpected, or experiencing a natural disaster, or being a victim of violence or abuse, right? The list goes on. And all of us at some point are going to experience some sort of adversity. So that's universal. But as we've said, it's not what happens to us, it's the way that we respond to what happens to us that makes the biggest difference. So when we look at the outcome, some people, when they're going through adversity, continue to experience more suffering, more stuckness, and more struggle, right? And there's that lovely saying that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So all of us are going to experience pain. Going through life, you're going to experience pain, but not everybody experiences the degree of suffering as others do. So what is this difference that makes the difference? Well, if you look at the R equals the O has come back, then we'll see that, well, if we're experiencing some of these responses, denial, sickness, giving up, retribution, overwhelm, resentment, anger, and guilt, if we are stuck in more of these emotional states, these ways of being and doing, then we're going to experience more of this. So what we need to do is we need to come back and explore what's the cause of this, and that is the way that we think. In other words, events are neutral. The event has no meaning in it. We give events meaning. So nothing has any meaning other than the meaning that we give it. So we're always adding meaning to an event. And two people can experience the same event, and two people can give it a very different meaning. So over the years, I've come to find that there's a little tiny belief that sits in the subconscious mind that we all have to varying degrees, that causes so much suffering. And it needs to be looked at, and it needs to be explored. And it's an assumption that we have about the world. And you may have a clue as to what that is. And this is the belief. And the belief is life isn't fair. When this is happening, life isn't fair. Or the opposite would be life should be fair. Now, when you think about that belief for a second, where's that belief come from? According to whom? Where is it written down anywhere? So we're sort of brought up and we're sort of conditioned to operate from life is meant to be fair, or when this happens, you know, life isn't fair. And then we start with this, why me? Why does this always have to happen to me? Now, I'm sure you can see if that's the way we're thinking, that's the paradigm, that's the assumption that we're putting over the event, well, you can see we're going to experience these kinds of responses or reactions, and we're going to experience more of the suffering, stuckness and struggle because we come back round and, you know, we're stuck on that plane, so to speak. So if we're really now exploring the difference that makes the difference, which is what we're adding, the meaning that we're adding, I'd like to share with you now what I call my core four. My core four assumptions or my core four beliefs that when I experience adversity, I like to see the event through these four assumptions or these four core beliefs. And the more they become subconscious or unconscious, the more they become, you know, a way of seeing things and a way of responding to things. So if we go back to the outcome, right, the goal is to always be moving forward and always be moving upward. So forwards and upwards, forwards and upwards, forwards and upwards, gradually becoming more and more of who we truly are, expressing more of who we truly are. And the truth is, we're all much bigger than anything that ever happens to us. You know, that's the truth. We're always much bigger. We don't believe that, but we always are. We've always got the resources inside of us to deal with anything external. We may not be accessing them because we have stinking thinking, as Zig Ziglar used to say, that gets in the way, but it's there and it's a resource. So if we come back then, what will be some really good ways of responding to adversity? Now look, you know, it's very difficult in 10 minutes to cover everything. And when we talk about adversity and we talk about events, you know, losing someone dear to you is different to maybe being in a car crash where you get some kind of injury, right? And you can't do something for a period of time. So, you know, not everything that I'm going to share with you will work 100%, but hopefully you get my intent and hopefully you get something that you can use, because I'm not sure what you're going through right now. So faith, creativity, a feeling of in control, empowered, courage or courageous, forgiveness and confidence. If we can access these emotional states more often than not, then we're going to, you know, do different things, get different outcomes, which means we then start to spiral up. So let me share with you now my core four beliefs. And these are the core four beliefs or core four assumptions that help us. Now you may not be able to read this, I'll read it out to you. So my first one here is, my life is unfolding perfectly for my highest good. My life is unfolding perfectly for my highest good. Now, I won't bore you with the details, but I had a dream a long time ago, and it helped me understand a little bit about the way the world works. And it was an analogy around a restaurant. When we go into a restaurant, the first thing we have to do is ask for what we want, right? So, you know, the waiter comes over and says, what do you want? You've got a menu and you choose what you want and you ask for it. And then the waiter goes away and then you relax and, you know, enjoy the conversation and a glass of wine. And then the waiter then brings back what you've ordered. Now, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever experienced it, it does come back as what you've ordered, and sometimes it comes back as something very different to what you've ordered. Okay, so it's an unexpected. And now the way that you respond to that is quite interesting, because you could say, take it back, it's not what I ordered. Okay, or you could say, that's interesting, I didn't order this, but yeah, this looks quite nice, I'll go for it. Now, what's the metaphor? Well, the metaphor is that, you know, in life, we may order a steak, but the spiritual chefs know that maybe what we need is a salad. And a salad would be really good for us right now based on, you know, where we are in our journey in life, based on where we want to get to. And maybe right now is a salad is what we need. So it helps me understand, you know, maybe that I've ordered a steak, but I've actually got a salad. But my life is unfolding perfectly for my highest good. And, you know, life isn't happening to us, life is happening for us. It's our job to figure out, what's the meaning of this adversity? What am I meant to be getting from this that's going to support me and help me and develop me and take me to the next level? Remember, always moving forward, always moving upward. What is that? That's our job. That's what we're meant to be doing. So we've got the salad. We've got to figure out now, why was I given the salad? You know, what's the point of the salad? How is it nutritionally going to support me? Because I thought I wanted a steak. Right, let me move on to number two. There's always a way if I keep flexing and keep committed. There's always a way, key belief, there's always a way around this. If you've got a financial fall or in financial difficulty, there's always a way around this, right? As an example. So the other thing here is, if I'm flexible and remain committed. Flexible, first thing we need to do is get flexible. And often when we get into adversity, we work from a this or that paradigm, an either or paradigm, either this or that. You know, either I go bankrupt, or sell my business, or, you know, and there's more than two possibilities. And our first job is to figure out, well, what are the other possibilities? What are the other options that are on the table? And get creative and brainstorm as many as we possibly can. I'm going to share with you sort of how to do that in a moment. And I don't know if you've ever seen the example of a fly coming in the room, buzzing around, and it wants to get out of the room. That's its intent, and it sees the window, bang, it hits the window, backs up, bang, hits the window, backs up, and you see this fly going up and down like this, right? And you look at it and you go, daft fly, right? There's a door there, it could get out easily. Well, sometimes we are the daft fly. Sometimes we are, rather than seeking other opportunities or other ways of dealing with this, other options of dealing with this. So key belief, there's always a way. If I'm flexing and I'm committed, you've got to stay committed, you've got to stay in the game, you've got to stay involved, right? We don't want to opt out. Next belief, I create my own reality and I'm responsible for what I create. I create my own reality and I'm responsible for what I create. Often when we experience adversity, the first thing we do is we call it bad. You know, we give it a negative label. Remember, events have no meaning other than the meaning we give them. And to share another little story, and I know I'm going to do this story to service it, I haven't heard it for years, I can't remember where I heard it from, but it goes something like this, that, you know, in a village, a remote village up in the mountains in China, one day a horse comes galloping into the village, and the elder's son, the wise one's son, catches the horse, and all the villagers say, God, that was so lucky, you're so lucky to have a horse. You know, a horse is a prized thing, and you've now got a horse free of charge. And the wise elder says, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. So the next day, the young man gets on the horse to try and break the horse in, and he gets thrown off, and he breaks his leg. Well, now he can't work in the fields. Now he can't help the family. So now all the villagers say, oh, that's really unlucky. That's so bad. That's so bad. You know, your son can't help you now. And the wise elder says, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And then the next day, the army come marching into the village to, you know, take all of the young men with them into the army. And of course, the elder son has got a broken leg, so he can't go into the army. So all the villagers go, oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky that your son broke his leg yesterday, because now you're not going to lose your son to the army. And of course he says, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Now, I won't carry on, but the point is that quite often we're quick to judge. We're quick to say this is bad. And that judgment can be what gets in the way. But if we have a little bit of height and a little bit of detachment, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe time will tell. Maybe a year or 2 or 3 years down the road, we'll look back and realize, yeah, I can see why I went through that. I am now a better person because of it. And you'll hear this time and time again of individuals that have been through adversity, and now they've got time on their side, and they look back and they say, you know what, yeah. And there's some individuals that will even say, I am pleased that that happened to me, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it hadn't, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it hadn't. So let's look at the next one. So adversity empowers me, and adversity empowers me and makes me stronger. So, you know, really it does. Adversity is the only thing that really causes us to grow, to get outside of our comfort zone, to stretch. And, you know, when you think about building a muscle, or you look at someone that's got a phenomenal physique, you'll know that they've pushed against resistance. That's how they've built the muscle. You know, they're doing, you know, reps here, and it's the 10th rep, the one that hurts the most, the one that rips the muscle is the one that gives them the most growth. It's the most painful, but it's the one that gives them the most growth. And so it is in life, that our character, who we truly are, is only really shown in times of difficulty, in times of adversity. That's when we dig deep. That's when we really draw on the resources, especially if we're operating from assumptions like this, because then we can tap these resources that sit inside us. Then we can be always moving forward, always moving upward. So let me finish then with maybe 4 things that you can do to apply this. So if you're going through adversity, the first thing that I would suggest is you need to relax. You need to get a clear mind. You need to start from that place of relaxation. And if you've not heard of brain waves, alpha is the brain wave that really is going to make the difference. Then click on the link below the video. It will take you through to where you can get 4 free videos, and in 2 of those videos I go into brain waves and how to access those brain waves. But alpha, get into a state of alpha, clear the mind, right? When you're stressed, you're in beta, you're right up in beta. So, things are moving very, very quickly. You need to relax. You need to relax, get into a state of alpha first and foremost. You're not going to find the diamond in the coal if you're stressed. Right? The only way you're going to find the diamond in the coal is to start from a place of relaxation. So whatever you've got to do to relax a little bit, and then you get a different perspective by either getting height or distance from it or length. So any one of those can help you see what you couldn't see. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures, where they show a picture of something, you have to figure out what it is. It could be a tiny little bit of what looks like rubber on something black, and you think, I'm not sure what that is, because as the picture comes out, you can see that it's a car tire, and it's one of those little bits of rubber, tiny bits of rubber on the car tire. Well, we need to see the bigger picture. We need to understand the bigger picture of things, of how this all fits in. And the way you do that then is you take on board these beliefs. And I'd like for you to put it into like a question to help you search for the answer. And the question is, if you knew, that's the first bit, if you knew your life was unfolding perfectly for your highest good, what would you do? If you knew there is always a way, if you're flexing and committed, what would you do? If you knew that you create your own reality and you are responsible for the reality you create, what would you do? If you knew that adversity empowers you and makes you stronger, what would you do? So if you knew empowering assumption or belief, what would you do? And see where that takes you. Seek those answers, because you'll become far more empowered when you do. And the last thing I would say is you've got to be careful of who you associate with. All right? There's a lot of people out there, they're called drama queens often, that love drama, and they love to be in that drama. So when you are in drama, you will attract, and you can attract those individuals because they love it. Got to be careful of that. You really got to be careful of that, because they'll hold you, down here where you experience more suffering, more stuckness, and more struggle. So you've got to associate with individuals that are going to help you get clarity, that are going to bring more wisdom and understanding around this, that maybe have been through it and can give you the longer perspective of things. You'll look back. I know that when I lost my sister to cancer, I connected with a group of individuals that have been through it, to sit and listen with them and talk with them, and help me understand what time does was just what I needed. I didn't need to be wrapped up in the drama of the whole thing. I needed that. So be careful of that. So that's it. Hopefully I've given you a few things to think about here. As you know, if you've watched any of my videos, please give me some feedback. 1 would be didn't enjoy it, Colin. 10 being really, really enjoyed it, Colin. Got a lot from this. If you're on my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button so you get updates on all the videos that I put out. If you want to have a look at those 4 training videos, especially the 2 around brain waves, and understand those, just click on the link below. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.